Welcome to the Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community Podcast. I'm your host, Patrice Tsague. I'm here back 1 year later with Susan Schram. I'm my co-MC for Nehemiah Week. Susan, good to have you in studio. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Well, Susan, you and I just kicked off Nehemiah Week, and I'm not sure about you, but it doesn't get old. The
Correct.
opportunity this year we began the Kingdom Business Tour.
Yeah.
Began well, first of all, before the tour, we began with an amazing worship by Mannahouse. That was my own church, Pastor Mark, and the worship team there. So, what do you think of the worship? That's what we experience every
Well, it's a
Sunday.
great way to start the morning. And it's interesting. What I love when we do these international worship services is that then because everybody has their screens on, you can see people all over the world dancing to uh, a common song that they know in their own language. It's really beautiful. A beautiful way to start every day. I'd love to just sign up for this every morning.
I know, right? I
Start the
know.
day.
Yeah, and even before that, we began with corporate prayer. And tomorrow we're gonna start corporate prayer, and that's at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard, and then we're gonna go to Paris, France tomorrow for the worship. So that's gonna be fun and interesting. And then Pastor Moore brought an interesting message. He really dealt with how do we pivot or navigate or adapt in midst of the risk we face as
Mhm.
we try to build our businesses and operate with excellence. I thought he brought a clever message with that acts in the book of Second Kings. What were your thoughts about his message?
Well, first of all, I had never heard that verse from Second Kings about this pastor who was out there losing an axe, and then what did he do? And then he borrowed it, and it was interesting because he spoke about the stress that comes when you're under the gun. You're in charge of getting something done, and something doesn't go well. And what was interesting was that he, first of all, just acknowledged that he be honest. And I thought one of my favorite parts is he said, "You need to start with being direct and
Wow.
openly admit what's my part in this."
Hmm.
And obviously, there's the whole let God help you in this moment. But sometimes I don't know, there's a tendency to just look around and say if something went wrong, it's somebody else's fault. And that really jumped out to me as a really basic idea of like, where am I in this? What part of this did I own? And what do I need to adjust? Anyway, what about you?
Yeah, I know, truly. I mean, he mentioned the 3 point in midst of when you face that kind of situation where you lose something or you're facing a challenge, a crisis, whatever that might be. Remember that God's power, right, and God's grace, God's power, He's able. God's grace is sufficient for you, and that He does care.
Mhm.
He is concerned about our circumstance, our situation, whether you're facing payroll situation, prices increase,
Yeah.
right, due to inflation, right, supply chain backlog, right, whatever it is, social disturbance in your community, political challenges, whatever it might be, that God is powerful. He's able. He's gracious. His grace is sufficient for you, and He cares. He cares about whatever you care about. He cares about it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a comforting feeling I love how our examples these days aren't only COVID. Our examples of what you could run into could be so varied, and yet in all cases you're striving, and you can't do it all by yourself. Right.
That is absolutely right. Again, I'm talking to with Susan Schram. We're talking about Nehemiah Week recap. If you missed Nehemiah Week today, I want to encourage you to register and join us tomorrow as we get into the meat of the conference. Susan is the CEO of Go to Market Impact. She's also the vice chair of Nehemiah Project. Her and I are both co-emceeing this week. So Susan, then we started our tour. We kind
Wait
of
a minute. We did the amazing. We zipped around the world and saw
know.
people all over the world. I mean, this used to be done physically, and you go to a town and visit businesses. What's
Yeah.
amazing about this format is that we can just meet with and talk to entrepreneurs from all over the world. It was really very fun.
Nah, that truly is. Even before we got to the first entrepreneur, we did award some entrepreneurs today. I
Mhm.
do want to congratulate those that we honored today. John Randall, She received the More Than a Conqueror of the Year. We also honored Coletta, Joe from the United States, Coletta from Kenya. We also honored my good friend Ken from Malaysia, and also Winnie
Mhm.
from Kenya. All these entrepreneurs, this award is one of my favorite awards, Susan, the More Than a Conqueror of the Year award, because it's an award that we provide to entrepreneurs who are have gone be have overcome great odds within the year or within the but yet kept pressing to let their light so shine in the marketplace.
And the stories were just so impressive. I mean, whether it was illness or whether it was business setbacks, whether uh, whatever it was, these people had a strong uh, conviction, and they were truly more than a conqueror is a great name for that award.
Entrepreneurship is really about resilience. A study was done years ago about what is the one key attribute that every entrepreneur to have, that successful entrepreneur have. Based on that study, it was not innovation, it was not technology, it was not wit, it was not capital, it was none of that. It came down to resilience,
Mhm.
perseverance. It came down to the ability to stay the course. And so I think that these entrepreneurs exemplify the essence of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Stuff are going to happen, right?
Mhm.
To you personally, to your business, to your team, whatever it is, maybe. The question becomes, can you press through? You talk about the risking all the time,
Mhm.
right? You
Yeah,
can
there's risk in every business. And it's funny that step by step ability to say, okay, that was then, this is now. What do I do next, Lord? Is a really powerful, and the stories from all over the world of people who just have that conviction. That itself was inspiring. Yeah.
and that it was. So we're going to start with Ken. Ken with D Bazaar from Malaysia.
Yeah,
I
we
want to,
started in Malaysia. Like I've not been to Malaysia yet, but that was a fascinating insight into the Malaysian marketplace.
well, you want to go there. As I said to Ken, move over Amazon, move over Alibaba. Here comes D Bazaar. Um, one of the key emphasis that you and I made had to do with this idea of seeing if how they were able to adapt,
Mhm.
right, to remain excellence in prison. What were your thoughts about Ken, his idea, and his ability to adapt?
Well, I
Um,
thought it was interesting to me that he had a vision through biblical entrepreneurship, had a vision for an online marketplace where he was really going to create a marketplace and had all sorts of technical and e-commerce market means that you have to build all the technology behind it. You have to build a lot of but you have to build the market. I mean, he actually had to have buyers and sellers. He had to create an entire marketplace, which is very, very complex. And so what was interesting was that COVID was an ally of his. Wouldn't have thought that, but the fact that people weren't necessarily comfortable, the merchants weren't, the buyers weren't necessarily comfortable about an e-marketplace, and COVID accelerated so much of the Malaysian community's comfort level with getting online and doing business that he attributed that adapting was his whole community was adapting. That was a big part. And the other thing I thought was interesting was he was really had to teach everybody how this would work. He really leans in to helping people do their work differently and make their businesses viable. So his clients, his merchants, aren't only clients. He's actually helping them be successful and helping the whole community be successful. 50% of his revenues he's sending, he's making a lot of investment in that community. He's donating. And I just feel like there's a lot going on there as far as his adapting had to do with not just his own business adapting, but adapting a whole community of people to do something different.
Yeah, yeah. Ken is very resilient as an entrepreneur. I remember when he first went through book entrepreneurship, facing tremendous challenge and failed in the United States, relocating to Malaysia, and through that, trusting the Lord to help him rebuild. He's come a long way. Just an amazing thing. If you want to know more about Ken's business, visit our e-community. Just go there, check him out, check out his business.
D Bazaar,
He,
DBA.
that's right. And then from there, we went to Africa, particularly in Kenya. Again, Kenyans, we are praying for you. We know you're waiting the announce your president. We're praying for peace in Kenya. We're praying for God's protection in Kenya. And we're praying that the Lord will protect you against all harm, that there'll be a peaceful transition of power in Kenya. So this company was interesting. So this was Feakin Howell. This was an accounting auditing company. Not very sexy, but I thought his approach, their commitment to integrity, to excellence, was very sexy. What were you think? Were you ever thought about a kind of company like this in Africa by a Christian entrepreneur?
Well, it was interesting to me that when you talked about the context of an economic marketplace that you want to have trust in, that is attracting investors from around the world. I mean, Kenya is growing in leaps and bounds. It's one of the most connected. I'm from the telecom industry. It's one of the most connected places in the world, and people think of, oh, should I invest in Africa? What he's doing, what they are doing, these partners are doing, is putting together a business that's really helping improve the integrity of business. So he really has a very high bar for how their own companies should perform, but they also have a high bar for how their clients should perform. And in doing that, they found themselves having to teach as well, right? They're teaching people about governance. They're teaching people more than accounting. They're teaching people about running a business with integrity and building trust in each other and in these businesses. So yeah, I was really, my dad was an accountant, and truthfully, I go, okay, accounting, boring, but actually the inspiring part to me was the role they intend to play in shaping a community in Kenya with integrity and trust.
Amen. And that is the future of the global economy, Africa, and that element of financial integrity, transparency, and trust is going to be critical to attracting capital and helping capital stay. As you know, in the United States, the key marker for an amazing capital market to attract investors is transparency and integrity
Right.
in the area of finance. So they are doing something well. If you want to know more about this big company, visit us. Go to our e-community platform and check out this company. I mean,
Beacon Howell. Mm-hmm.
an amazing business. Nicola, I want to congratulate you and commend you and your team. Then from there, we went to Europe. We landed in Paris. So this gal in Europe, Pauline, I remember her in the class. And Susan, she wasn't clear. And she had her first business project was something in the area of media. That was her first thing. She wanted to do a transformational kind of a media product from a programming standpoint. And she needed, it was very reliant on sponsors and creating an amazing media program that would attract advertisers. It didn't go. She couldn't make the model work. And then I come back to Paris, France, like 5 years later, and then I meet her at a networking event for biblical entrepreneurs. And then she shows me her new business. And I'm like, wow, right? She created, because she couldn't figure out the business model for that other business. She pivoted to fashion, which was
Not
another.
an easy business. Yeah.
And she created her own brand in her own name, competing with Chanel, competing with Prada, competing with Gucci. I mean, she's going in there from Paris, the fashion capital of the world. I mean, what do you think about her and her ability to know to pivot, to adapt, and to bring such quality into the marketplace?
Yeah, it was a great story. She was a learning person, though. She had worked in some of these fashion companies, not necessarily as the head of design, but in the fashion companies, and really learned the processes and tools and disciplines necessary for effective business in fashion. Because she says so many people in fashion aren't really, focused on creating business, much like Christians in this space. So she ends up taking, as she said, it was an idea in her head that she translated into a business and invested all her savings to the Pauline T brand. But what was interesting, she did, I thought was interesting, she had this idea of very unique design. She used what was it? It was like not a robe, but
It's like an Arabian, like a Middle Eastern kind of
a sarong,
robe. Yeah,
right?
that's wear for dressing occasions.
Right. And so she designed these, but she would go just design two or three and then make them feel very exclusive, and even had an influencer on a stage using this, and just a very intentional approach to building a fashion business.
And that she did. I bought a piece for my wife, so I know it's quality. And she has a unique model. If you want to know more about Pauline T, visit us at nehemiahecommunity.com. Just go to the platform. You can check out her business, Pauline T. It's an amazing fashion brand out of Paris, France. Now, from there, we went to Latin America. And an entrepreneur that we all know well, Yamil. And Yamil runs right now three businesses. He runs Sound City, which was his first business through which he won the International Business Plan competition.
And that's music. Sound City is a music.
That's right. It's a music training. And kind of a coaching organization for artists and musicians. And then he's also the director for the Nehemiah Community Center in Mexico. That he launched this other business, Uhuru, which means he said it means
Swahili for freedom.
Freedom. Yeah. He launched it in the midst of the pandemic, where he was going through various challenges, and he launched his new business, which is doing amazingly well. And so, what I love about Yamil, his artistry shows, but also his business savvy shows. Right. And so let's talk about Yamil. What are your thoughts in terms of seeing his ability to operate with excellence as an artist in this creative space through you?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because the freedom, he's trying to tap Mexican artists. I mean, every one of these biblical entrepreneurs had a vision for people beyond themselves. And in this case, he's trying to help the world tap the talent of Mexican artists, creators, designers, sound system people, video artists, all different kinds in this digital marketing agency. And his dream is to help direct that beyond Mexico to people who are going to be able to want to present themselves and be heard in a new way. And I thought Yamil was very honest about the fact that it isn't easy, and disciplining musicians to follow a process, or disciplining artists,
yeah,
process is really hard, right? So he's got this business of creatives that he's now trying to rein in and help create process excellence, operational excellence, as we're talking about. That sometimes it's a lot of teaching. He's teaching his own employees, he's teaching his clients, and I think that just continues to be a theme here, is that when you go into the space of operational excellence, you're not simply putting together your to-do list to be good. Excellence is as we say earlier, it's an ongoing pursuit of being the best you can be. But what hit me today as we listen to these people is you end up having a role beyond yourself, because you're not only thinking about excellence of your operation, but the people you're serving and their operation. So it's a full perspective that I think all of them took, and Yamil's definitely applying to his business.
I love it. So it's not excellence for excellence sake.
Right.
Right. The end is that others benefit as well, and raise them all as well. Excellent. You are you are a client of Uhuru.
I am a client of Uhuru.
How has been that experience for you?
It's been interesting because he's teaming with Robert Fukui, a former board member as well, on a consultative approach, and designing not just the piece parts of digital marketing, but a marketing strategy. And so from the beginning, I knew I was going to be a beta client. But what's interesting is watching them put in place great tools and processes, and holding all of us accountable. Because it's not just, so many times, it's not just you as a business person, but your client has to be held accountable to their part of the agreement, right? And anyway, I'm enjoying the journey.
Yeah. The deliverables are mutual accountability. Malantu Rabari is watching. Malantu, good to see you. She was the first winner in Madagascar in International Business Plan Competition, won second place internationally. Launched her business in microfinance. Malantu, good to have you. Malantu, look forward to seeing you this week during Nehemiah Week. Again, we're talking about Nehemiah Week. I'm here with Susan Schram, the CEO of Go-to-Market Impact, also the vice chair of the Nehemiah Project. Her and I co-emceeing together Nehemiah Week this year. third year in a row. I want to invite you to join us. Tomorrow we start again with it all-day conference with various good speakers, and then Wednesday and then Thursday, the Investors Forum, and then Friday, the International Business Plan Competition. And we're going to culminate on Saturday with our impact event with keynote speaker David Benham. So you not yet register, make sure you do so now so you can be a part as well. If you missed it, that's okay, because you register, you'll get a chance to see a recording of what you've missed. Well, Susan, then from there we went to the United States of America, North America. We landed back home here. And I tell you, we have another financial services company, accountants, kind of business finance. This one now was finance from an insurance perspective. I was just so impressed by Catherine. The company is Binger Insurance and Financial Consulting. It's a family business. They went through BSA, Idea and Destiny. They proudly talked about the impact. And then she came to Christ while she was in the program, being coached by Anna Maria from MP. What do you think about that particular presentation?
It was a great affirmation that the growth of a founder of a company, the growth of the founders impacts the growth of the business. Who that person is really influences so much the business culture, the business success, and they're a couple. I mean, she and Roy are both, they're sitting there as a couple going through this journey together, and it's they're very open about the fact that they had to realize what purpose God had for each of them, and their individuals and their daughter, the whole family really figured out that this was going to be a bigger view. And they even from the beginning started planning a succession plan as part of this exercise with the coaching, started realizing that they need to not have just a plan for their business, but a plan for the succession of their business, and really thinking long term.
Yeah, I appreciated her candor, and the fact she's a professional, transition from, about that, from corporate America to launch a business family. And she talked about having to go back because the business wasn't enough to meet, and then now she's back fully, and the growth they have. I mean,
gosh. From 350 to over 1.3 million or something.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That is incredible. Well, guys, listen, that's all for the day. So we want to make sure we invite you tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, make sure you sign up. Go to nehemiahweek.com, register for Nehemiah Week, and you can come tomorrow. We can experience amazing speakers on the theme operational excellence, starting out with a worship service in the morning and then a devotional time. And then our speakers, don't forget to come early for prayer, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. And then we're going to have some amazing breakouts tomorrow. Then we're going to go into Wednesday. Similarly, we're going to have Ann Baylor with us as well on Wednesday.
Auntie Ann Baylor, the one who's
right.
Pretzels, exactly.
That's right. From the Auntie Ann Pretzels. I know you've had that. Come hear her story. And then on Thursday, we'll have our investors forum. We'll talk to you about what does it look like to raise capital to our investors. You'll hear from actual entrepreneurs who raise capital, and you'll also hear from investors as to what are some things you need to consider. We're also going to introduce a new concept of investing called revenue-based investing. So make sure you sign up. And then on Friday, you will find out who will win the 2022 Business Plan Competition, 2022 International Business Plan Competition. And on Saturday, we're going to wrap it up with David Benham at our International Ministry, State of the Ministry event. We'll have Vanessa and Justin back with us. So in conclusion, Susan, what's the compelling reason why they should join us this year? What would you say?
To step out and get bigger perspective. I think if you are running a business, if you are thinking someday about running a business, and you are a believer, you actually want to live out your faith in the marketplace, this is an amazing, quick way, efficient way to not only learn some things, but get inspired by people from all over the world who are doing it, they're not just showing you the shiny side of it. They're talking about the ways they've had to adapt and adjust to accomplish it. but the number of people you get to network with, the number, I mean, you can talk to every one of the speakers through the chat, you can connect with people in the breakouts, you get to build your community, your brain trust of people who are living out their faith in the marketplace. That's why to be part of this.
Ooh, I love that. Just in case some are either lazy or just can't afford to come, what's the one tip you would give them, Susan, for Operation Excellence? Because you're going to teach tomorrow. What's like, give them one little freebie from your talk,
Oh
maybe.
yeah, so tomorrow I'm talking about adapting. And the point about this operational excellence is one way to achieve it is to create an adaptive advantage.
Mhm.
Figure out how you actually create competitive advantage by being great at adapting. And we're going to talk about more about that tomorrow.
Awesome. I love that adaptive advantage. So make sure you sign up for tomorrow. Tomorrow you will have myself, you'll have Susan, you'll have Serene Baker, you'll have Andy Mason. He'll be sharing tomorrow as well.
From
You'll
New
have,
Zealand. Yeah, he's coming from New Zealand.
that's right. You have a number of breakouts. You'll have Pastor Noella from Paris, France. He'll be sharing the devotional time. We have worship from Mami Lumande that will be happening as well tomorrow. And then tomorrow, of course, you'll have an amazing experience of connecting with various biblical entrepreneurs. Listen, in conclusion, what we learned really is that Operation Excellence is the same in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in Latin America, in North America. Whatever language you speak, it translates the same way. The pursuit of best and better in the name of Christ. I want to pray for you. Before I do, if you enjoy this podcast, share with your friends, put it on social, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, on YouTube, on your Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest, whatever you do, share it there with others, other entrepreneurs that can be inspired and encouraged on this journey towards operational excellence. With that, let me pray for you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord enable you to steward those talents that are under your care and to steward it with excellence in such a way that one day you will hear those wonderful words, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Guess what? He'll not make you rule over much. God bless you. Susan, thank you. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.